Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Little Chapel of Faith. My name is Tina. If you're new here, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. We have platforms on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and TikTok. If you're on any of those or all of those, please like, subscribe, and share. We are here with the readings from the story of Soul St Therese Lisieux. We are on chapter 2 tonight. Hope you guys are all safe. We had some wild weather. That's why I'm on a little late. We had tornado warnings and all kinds of stuff going on. It was a wild afternoon. All right, so let's begin. Chapter 2. I can remember clearly all that happened when Mother was ill, and especially her last weeks upon earth. Celine and I felt quite lost. A friend used to come every morning to take us to her house for the day, and we left once without having time to say our prayers. On the way, Celine whispered, Have we got to tell her we haven't said our prayers yet? Of course we have, I replied. So Celine very shyly told her about it when we arrived. You shall say them, my dears, she replied, and putting us in a large room, she left us to ourselves. Celine turned to me in astonishment, and I was surprised too. Mother's not like that, I exclaimed. She always says our prayers with us. We couldn't think of anyone else but Mother all day, though they made every effort to keep us amused. Celine, I remember, was given a lovely apricot. She leaned towards me and whispered, Let's not eat it, but keep it for Mother. How sad. Darling Mother was far too ill to enjoy such earthly fruits. Only the blessedness of heaven could satisfy her now, where she would drink the mystic wine which at the Last Supper Jesus said he would share with us in Father's kingdom. The moving ceremony of extreme unction impressed me very much. I remember just where I knelt, and I can still hear Father crying. The day after Mother died, he lifted me in his arms and said, Here, my little one, kiss your darling mother for the last time. Silently, I touched her cold forehead with my lips. I do not think I cried very much, and I told no one of all that was going on inside me. Without saying anything, I just watched and listened and saw a lot that they wanted to keep from me. On one occasion, I was all alone near the coffin, which was left standing on its end in the corridor. I stood there, deep in thought, for ages. It was the first time I had seen one, but I knew what it meant well enough. As I was so little, I could not see all of it without raising my head. How big and gloomy it seemed. 15 years later, I find myself in front of another coffin, this time that of our saintly mother Genevieve, and it all came back to me. It was the same Therese, but grown up now, and this coffin did not look big at all. She did not have to raise her head, save towards heaven, where all the happiness was placed, experience having so matured her soul that nothing on earth could sadden her any more. That the day the church blessed Mother's mortal remains, God did not leave me quite an orphan. He let me choose another mother for myself. We were all together, I remember, the 5 of us, looking sadly at one another, and Nurse turned to Celine and me, deeply touched at our misery, saying, Poor darlings, you haven't got a mother anymore. Celine threw herself at once into Marie's arms, saying, You shall be my mother now, then. As I always used to do the same as Celine, I might have followed her example in this, only I thought you might be rather hurt and feel you had been left out, if you did not have a little daughter too. So I looked lovingly at you and buried my head in your breast, saying in my turn, Pauline's going to be my mother. It was now, as I have mentioned, that the second and saddest stage of my life was to begin, especially after you, my second mother, entered Carmel. This period lasted the time I was 4.5 until I was 14. It was only then that I got back the gaiety of my earlier days, though with it there came a growing realization of the seriousness of life. You remember, I am sure, how my gaiety all went after my mother died. I had been so lively and open. Now I became diffident and oversensitive, crying if anyone looked at me. I wanted to be left alone and hated meeting strangers. Okay, sorry about that. My phone is giving me all kinds of problems. I may need a new one. I've got so much in there. My storage, I think, is pretty much gone. But anyway, I just took some things out. Hopefully I can get through the rest of this video. Okay. It was only in the intimacy of my own family, where everyone was wonderfully kind, that I could be more myself. Father's heart, which was affectionate enough already, seemed to become infinitely loving, and both you and Marie were the kindest and most unselfish of mothers to me. If God had not poured out his light so lavishly upon his little flower, she could never have become acclimated to earth, for she would have been too frail to weather the rain and storm. She had to have warmth and gentle dew and the soft breezes of spring, and even in the winter of trial they never failed her. It did not make me sad to leave Alicon. Like all children, I loved change and things out of the ordinary, so I enjoyed moving to Lisieux. I remembered the journey well. We arrived at our uncle's house in the evening, and Jean and Marie and Aunt were standing at the door waiting for us. I was very moved by all the love they showed us. We were taken to Les Boissonets, our new home, the next day. It was in a quiet part of town and not far from the Jardin de l'Etoile, with its lovely flowered walks. And I hope I'm saying those French words right, because I am not French, so I'm using the Italian in me to hopefully get it right. I was quite charmed by the house, and my imagination was carried away by the distant view from the belvedere, the trimmed gardens at the front of the house, and the larger garden at the back. This lovely house was to be the setting for so many delightful things for us. Everywhere else I felt lost and used to cry and miss Mother. But there my little heart opened up, and I could greet life with a smile. You were always there to kiss me awake, and I said my prayers kneeling beside you. Then you used to give me a reading lesson. The first word I could read by myself, I remember, was heaven. When this was over, I used to go upstairs to the belvedere, where Father spent most of his time, wonderfully happy. If I could tell him I had good marks. He used to make for me a little walk every afternoon to pay a visit to the Blessed Sacrament in the various churches in turn. It was then that I saw the Carmel Chapel for the first time. Look, my little queen, said Father, there are holy nuns behind the big grill, always praying to God. It certainly never occurred to me that I would be amongst them before 9 years were gone, that there in this Carmel I used to have many graces poured upon me. When we got home from our walk, I used to finish my lessons and then spend the rest of the day romping around Father in the garden. I was never very interested in playing with dolls, but I used to really enjoy making strange concoctions from seeds and the barks of trees. And when these came out with an attractive color, I used to pour some into a pretty tempting little cup and invite Father to try it. He would stop what he was doing and smile, all the time pretending to drink. I used to love the growing flowers, and making little altars too, in a niche where I would be lucky enough to find in the garden wall. When I had finished decorating them, I used to run and fetch Father, and he would come and stand enraptured before my masterpiece on an altar, just to please me. I can remember thousands of things like that, but if I were to tell you about them, I would never finish. In any case, no words can express the tenderness our incomparable Father lavished on his little queen. What lovely days those were for me, when my king, as I loved to call him, used to take me with him when he went fishing. I used to try to fish sometimes myself, with my own little rod, but usually I preferred sitting a little way off in the flowery grass. My thoughts used to become very deep, and though I had no idea of what meditation was, my soul was really lost in prayer. I listened to the sounds that came from far away, and the murmur of the wind. Sometimes snatches of martial music were carried from the town, making me feel rather sad. Earth seemed to me a place of exile, and I dreamt of heaven. Such afternoons passed quickly, and it was soon time to return home to Les Bisonnet. But before gathering all our things together, I used to eat the food I had brought in my basket. Even the lovely jam sandwiches you had made for me looked different now. The jam had lost its rich color, gone a miserable pink, and sunk into the bread. This made the earth seem sadder a place than ever, and I was quite convinced that one would never find unclouded happiness this side of heaven. And I think I'm going to leave it there, not push my luck. And we'll be back tomorrow for the final reading for the week. But until then, I hope you all have a beautiful evening. Be well, be safe, be kind to each other. May God bless us all.